I'm Ben Myers, and I'm here with Kiron Tellian at the Nashville International Chopin Competition. I'm going to be asking a few questions. I pronounced your name correctly.
Yes,
right?
perfect.
Okay. So the first question is, you just played, and how did it feel? Were you satisfied?
I felt wonderful in this wonderful hall with the wonderful piano. I mean, probably every musician or artist, we are such perfectionists, and we work so hard, sometimes even to an maybe unachievable goal. So it's always a question of how satisfied you can be. But I would say yes, I'm very happy with how I played, and I tremendously enjoyed playing, which is always a great gift for me.
That's great. Great to hear that. What's out of the pieces that you played, which one did you enjoy playing the most?
That's a very hard question, but...
Or maybe should I say, what are the different things you enjoy about each piece?
Well, so I started with the Nashville Nocturne.
Yeah, I like that you start with that one actually, because a lot of people say that one for the end, but I think it's good to start with that.
No, and I, that piece really grew on me, and I really, at the beginning, I had to a little bit get into it, because I don't think I really could grasp the character, and then when I started working intensely, it really grew and became very close to me.
Interesting.
I hope, obviously I don't know, but I hope that I played it to the composer's, wonderful composer's satisfaction. From all the pieces, they are all pieces that are very close to my heart. I would have to say the Barcarolle is probably one of my favorite pieces. If I had to choose, which is very hard.
It's a very beautiful piece,
because there's so many. And even for me, there's always a distinction between what piece, as the piece in itself, I like most, and which piece I enjoy performing most, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously some pieces can be wonderful, but when you perform, it is very challenging. I don't think there's any piece today that I played that is not challenging. But yes, I will choose the Barcarolle. For the Barcarolle, I feel like I'm on a journey.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. So your choice of pieces was interesting. I like you played waltzes, because not a lot of people in this competition are playing waltzes. So what do you like waltzes in particular?
Well, I'm from Vienna, Austria, so we are kind of we have a lot of cultural and historical heritage with waltzes. We have all the ballrooms, and I even used to do ballroom dancing, whether you believe it or not.
Because you don't often meet people who play the dances and can also dance the dances.
Right, I can actually dance waltz. It has been many years, so don't put me on the spot. But interestingly, obviously these waltzes by Chopin, they are not, you cannot dance really to that. That would be incredible. You cannot turn very quickly and then stop. But I think the waltzes in general are very close to me. I love the character, and I love the feeling and this kind of waltz rhythm, so I thought I had to put them in a competition program. Yeah,
they're wonderful. So some of the other pieces you played 3 etudes, and those 3 etudes they shared a common theme, which was double notes. You had the thirds, sixths, and octaves. So why did you decide to choose those 3? Was it intentional that they all shared that theme?
Right. Well,
because those are also, I think, famous for being like some of the hardest.
Right. Well, so I played the whole cycle, all 12 of the Opus 25 etudes.
Oh, okay.
Usually in recital, I play all of them.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to play some etudes for this program, but when I was thinking of, because I always play the whole cycle, I suddenly found it very hard to just choose 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Usually it's the other way around. You play maybe 1 etude for an exam or a competition, and that's it. So then I thought, which from these 12 have something in common? And as you correctly said, they are all have these double intervals. So I thought they could kind of find a connection.
Yeah.
When I was thinking of what order to play them in, because the logical order would be 6, 8, and then 10, right? But looking at the program, I played first the Nashville Nocturne and the Barcarolle, then the Mazurkas, and then these are all pieces that are not very, kind of tremendous and
Yeah.
thunderous.
Yeah.
So I thought starting them with the thirds would be good to have an octave etude before I started with the thirds.
Yeah.
So that's why I
Wait
switched
the
it
audience
around.
up, right?
Right?
Yeah.
And regarding the difficulty, I agree that they are some of the most challenging ones. Although I think all 12 of them are
Yeah.
very very challenging. And I don't know. I mean, for me personally, if you had to ask me which one is the most difficult one, which I really don't like to do because
Because they're all difficult in different ways.
because it's about the music. I mean, at the end, it's the artist's job to play it, and it shouldn't be a factor that it's more difficult or less difficult, right?
Yeah.
But for me, the most difficult from the 12 is number 4,
Okay.
with the jumps. On the left.
Oh, that's the
Yes,
most
actually,
difficult
yes.
one. That's very interesting because most people
Right.
wouldn't say that. They'd say
Right.
like 6 or maybe 11.
Right,
Wow.
right.
Very interesting.
Right.
Okay. So what's your favorite composer? It's
My
Chopin.
favorite so I've been.
It's okay saying no.
There's only one right answer here. No, but it's hard to say. I have a very obvious answer that has always been the same since I started playing it. It's Bach.
Oh, that's
It's
interesting.
always been Bach. Then that's for me number 1. If I had to choose one composer that I could only have this composer's works till the end of my life, it would be Bach.
Oh.
But I've been playing basically almost only Chopin the last year, so
Yeah.
I've been very diving into this world, and he's become very close to me, and I love him very much. I would say the number 1 composer is Bach, then Schubert, Scriabin, maybe Chopin, Rachmaninoff, this kind
Yeah.
of thing. Obviously Brahms, Beethoven, Mozart, even these kind of. It's so hard to choose,
Yeah.
right?
Do you feel like when you compare Bach with Chopin or Schubert, can you see similarities between them?
I mean, of course.
Or can you see like how the later composers learned from Bach?
Right. I think for me, Bach is the somehow the beginning and the end.
Mhm.
Since Bach, there has not been anything that has been as good,
Yeah.
and probably there will never be anything as good. It's really, for me, unbelievable how this kind of music can be so, for all infinity. It's as if he has kind of rewritten the laws of nature. But obviously, I mean, Chopin, all the polyphony and
Yeah.
the voicings and everything comes from Bach.
Yeah.
But you could say that about almost any composer. They
Yeah,
all
that's true.
took from him,
Yeah.
advanced it, and not to say that it's any worse what they're doing, right? But he's kind of the foundation, I would say.
Yeah. Very interesting. So who are some of your favorite pianists? Some of the ones you are most inspired by?
That's always a very, very hard question to answer because obviously I have a lot of great friends that are unbelievable pianists.
Yeah.
So, I always when I get this question, I think,
Well, I mean, like,
what
you
can
know,
I say, and they will not get mad.
Like people aren't still alive.
Well,
or who are but are older.
For me, let's say it like this. For me, some of the greatest pianists that I think live today and work today, and that have been the greatest mentors to me and teachers are my teacher, Sergei Babayan,
Oh yeah.
and his former student, Daniil Trifonov.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both of them have been great inspirations and kind of role models that I try to strive after what they have achieved in their great achievements.
Yeah.
Apart from that, there's a lot of wonderful pianists. I mean, all the Horowitz, Rubinstein, Glenn Gould is for me very important with Bach and also Beethoven. And I mean, the list goes on, but that would be somehow a bit.
Have you played any other instruments apart from piano?
No, I once spent 6 months learning violin, and then I forgot my violin on the way to the lesson, and then I thought maybe I should not play violin.
That's the problem with violin. You have to remember to carry the instrument around. It's not just there waiting for you.
Right.
But do you think that sort of taught you anything about piano playing?
Well, my original reason why I wanted to learn violin is because I'm also a composer, so I wanted to know how to write really for strings. I mean, you can learn the theory, but playing the instrument itself is I thought would give I mean, a different insight and different kind of idea of how the instrument works, right?
Yeah.
So, and even for obviously for piano, they have a distinct advantage because they can change the sound after they've played it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which we cannot do.
Yeah.
No matter how hard you press it, the key will not get
louder.
louder.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little more about your composing? Because I'm also a composer myself. So it's interesting.
Well, I started composing basically almost immediately after I started playing piano. It just started with me writing down something that I was improvising on the piano.
Yeah.
And I was very conscious to stay away from the software because for me, as soon as I set it on the computer in whatever of these great softwares that now exist, for me, I could not compose anymore. I don't know why.
That's interesting.
And I had various teachers. I wrote many things for different ensembles. Even went to competitions and they picked my pieces. But for me, composing is very interesting because whatever I work on the piano has an incredible impact on the way I compose and what I compose. And this impact is, for me, interestingly, while I'm composing, not obvious. So I write.
Yeah, like do you ever find yourself writing something when you realize you just accidentally stole it from something you played?
And then I play it for friends or family or teachers, and they say, well, yes, I mean, I clearly hear the inspiration, which is obviously not a bad thing. Every composer ever was inspired by something else or some other, or something in general, right? So for me, it's a special challenge to then play the pieces I write for piano. Because being a composer, being the kind of to interpret the music is two different things.
Yeah.
So when I write it, I have it in my head. I have an idea of the piece, and to then transition from that to kind of the view of a performer that goes to the score and thinks, what is actually here?
Yeah.
What did I write here? What is the idea? It's sometimes very tricky. That leads to situations where I play my piece for my teacher, and then he indicates that, hey, there's a line here that you did not play, and I'm like, oh yes, I wrote here. This is like two voices. I only played one voice. This kind of thing. So I'm surprised actually by what I wrote. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, do you feel like you kind of learn, like from composing, you can understand how to play other composers better?
I mean, yes. I mean, that's obviously a question of whether you know music theory. I mean, you have to be able to understand the structure of the piece and how to interpret it. But I'm not quite sure if it makes. I mean, as a composer, your knowledge of how pieces are structured and what the possible thoughts of the composer might have been when writing it, arguably are more developed because you're writing yourself. But I'm not so sure if that's true because, I mean, if you have a very good knowledge of theory and know literature very well and know the composer very well, why should you not be able to understand the piece equally well as someone that writes himself?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So, also there's this kind of fallacy of guessing the composer's intentions. We cannot know what the composer meant in writing it. Did he or she intend that there's a certain line here that should be played that way? I mean, the markings are almost almost laughably unclear. I mean, there's a crescendo, but okay, what does it mean exactly? Is it this voice, is it a strong, or they wrote what they could.
Yeah.
But it's up to the performer to kind of try to get the idea of what they meant.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like instead of like trying to figure out exactly what the composer wanted, it's better to have like different approaches. Like each person has their own style of playing.
Right. I mean, it's hard to say because it's obviously a subjective. I mean, to a degree subjective. What is?
Yeah.
But there are obviously, I would say there are right and wrong things. But that is, a very gray area.
Yeah. I mean, do you think there's like more than one right way to play a piece?
Right. Yes. I mean, there's different ways of looking at it.
Yeah.
And what for someone could be the best way and the correct way is maybe for someone else he or she sees the piece very differently and has a different approach, and that's the beauty, and that's what, for me, the whole vibrancy of this community of artists comes from. Because if everyone would play exactly the same, then it's boring. Exactly. I don't want to go to a concert where I know exactly what's going to happen.
All right. Yeah. So do you have, when it comes to performing, do you have any superstitions, good luck charms, or any like rituals you like to do before concerts, something like that?
No, and I also I don't believe I ever had really rituals in that way. What I do is obviously prepare and ideally play very long hours in the hall with the piano that I'm going to play the recital in.
Yeah, so you like get to know the piano.
Right, and then I think before the concert, when you warmed up and you know the repertoire, there is not more that you can do. This kind of rituals of I have to hold my hands like this, I have to have these gadgets. I think they stem from a sort of nervousness that is obviously understandable. But my way of looking at it is before a performance, I try to have had enough to eat, maybe drink some warm tea, surround myself with people that I love and that I can have a good mood. I want to be in a good mood, right? And relax and kind of try to get into the spirit of making music and having great inspiration on stage.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think it's good to not be too like neurotic and have too many things you have to do, but just try and be in a good mood.
Because I've had, you can eat a banana every time before you play, and you can eat it and play badly, and you can eat it and you play well. So what is the difference?
All right. So do you feel like you're very passionate about music? So do you think being passionate is enough to sustain you in a career?
Well, I think everyone has something, or ideally has something in their life that gives him or her great joy and passion, and that the person loves, right? Loves doing. But for me, music obviously is that thing. Of course, in order to play music and in order to be a performer, you need a lot of more than just loving music or loving to play the piano. You have to work long hours. You have to do things that may in the moment not be the most comfortable things, because you have to work towards a long-term goal. But that can be said about almost anything that you're passionate about. In order for the long term, I mean, I think you have to have this incredible love and passion for what you do. Otherwise, there's no motivation to keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to be fun and happiness all the time.
Yeah.
But that's the way life works, right? It's about the journey of playing music, working on music, and living with music. That's the real beauty lies within, I think.
Yeah. All right. Great. Well, very good answers. Very interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's great talking to you.